All right, let's get right into it. Apple just dropped its iPhone 17 lineup, and let me tell you, this is not just another incremental update. We're talking about one of the biggest, most fundamental shifts in iPhone design we've seen in years. There's even a totally new model in the mix. So let's break down everything that just happened. And yeah, that's the headline right there. The biggest takeaway from this whole event is that Apple is finally, fundamentally changing the iPhone. So, if you're one of those people who's been holding out, waiting for a real leap forward instead of just tiny little steps, well, this is your year. The whole philosophy behind these phones, especially the Pro models, has been completely rethought. So, where does this massive change start? Well, it starts with the lineup itself. The family of iPhones that we've all gotten used to over the last few years, it's getting a major shakeup. Okay, so here's the new team for 2025. You've got your standard iPhone 17, the 17 Pro, and the 17 Pro Max. But look closely. Notice what's gone? Yep, the iPhone Plus model is officially out. And taking its place is something brand new, a device called the iPhone Air. And trust me, we're going to talk a lot more about that one in a minute, because it's a really interesting new direction for Apple. But before we get to the new stuff, let's talk about the standard iPhone 17. Because honestly, this phone might just be the secret star of the show this year. Apple has stuffed so many pro features into the base model that it barely feels like a base model anymore. It feels more like the best deal you can get. Now, on the outside, it looks pretty similar to last year's phone, but it comes in this absolutely gorgeous new set of matte colors. I mean, that sage green looks incredible, right? And you've also got a new lavender, a fresh take on blue, and of course, a classic white/silver. The phone itself is also getting just a tiny bit bigger. The screen is now 6.3 inches, up from 6.1. It's one of those subtle changes you probably won't even feel in your hand, but you'll definitely appreciate that little bit of extra screen space. And here it is, the big one. This is the feature everyone has been begging Apple for on the standard iPhone for years. They finally done it. ProMotion is now on the base model. That means you get that super smooth, adaptive 120 Hz refresh rate. Everything from scrolling through social media to gaming is just going to feel unbelievably fluid. This is a huge, huge upgrade. And it's not just smoother, it's way brighter too. The screen is getting a massive boost all the way up to 3,000 nits. That means you'll have incredible visibility even in direct sunlight. To put that in perspective, that's brighter than a lot of high-end professional monitors. Just wow. The whole camera system is getting an upgrade, but the real story here is actually the selfie camera. It's a completely new 18 megapixel sensor, and it brings over a really cool feature from the iPad called Center Stage. So now the camera can actually follow you and keep you perfectly in frame during video calls. But what's even cooler is the sensor itself. It's a square, which means you can switch between a vertical selfie and a horizontal one without losing any quality at all. It's pretty clever. And here's the part that really ties it all together and makes this thing such an amazing deal. Apple doubled the starting storage to 256 gigs, and they kept the price exactly the same, $799. So let's recap. You get double the storage, a 120 Hz screen, a brand new camera system, all for the same price as last year's phone. That is a seriously compelling package. Okay, so that's the base model. Now let's shift gears and talk about the Pro and Pro Max, because this is where that whole new design philosophy really kicks in. Apple's moving away from titanium this year, and they're using a totally new manufacturing process that has some huge, huge implications for performance. So what they're calling it is a unibody design. And what that means is instead of having a separate metal frame and a piece of glass on the back, the new Pro models are literally carved out of a single block of aluminum. So the frame and most of the back are all one continuous piece. They just leave a small ceramic window for things like MagSafe and wireless charging. It's a really different way of building a phone. So why would they go through all that effort? What's the point? Well, this new unibody design unlocks three really crucial benefits for you, the user. First, because it's all one piece of aluminum, it's way better at getting rid of heat. Second, it actually frees up space inside for bigger, more advanced cameras. And third, you guessed it, it lets Apple cram in a much larger battery. And speaking of getting rid of heat, here's another first for the iPhone. To go along with that new aluminum body, the Pro models now have a vapor chamber cooling system inside. Now, if you're a gamer, you've probably heard of this. It's the kind of tech you find in high-end gaming PCs and phones. And what it means for you is that the new A19 Pro chip can run at full throttle for way, way longer without slowing down. This is a huge deal for performance. And remember how that new design freed up space for cameras? Well, here's the payoff. The telephoto lens now has an 8x optical zoom. That is a massive jump up from the 5x we had before. And not just that, but all three cameras are now 48 megapixels, which just gives you incredible detail and so much more flexibility when you're shooting. All right, let's talk about the big surprise of the day, the wild card. Apple got rid of the Plus model and they introduced something completely new, the iPhone Air. And look, this is not just a thinner version of the regular iPhone. This is an entirely new product category, all about beautiful design and portability. But, and this is key, without sacrificing power. And when I say thin, I mean it is impossibly thin, just 5.6 millimeters. That makes it the thinnest iPhone Apple has ever made. People who've held it say it feels like you're just holding a screen with nothing behind it. It's a total statement piece, designed from the ground up to be unbelievably light and sleek. So how on earth did they get it that thin? Well, it all comes down to some smart trade-offs. As you can see here, the iPhone Air gets the exact same powerful A19 Pro chip that's in the top of the line Pro models. So performance is absolutely top tier. The trade-off is in the cameras. To get that thin profile, it has just one single 48 megapixel main camera. And the battery, while it's still good for a full day, is a little smaller than the other models. But I really want to stress this point. The Air is not a light phone when it comes to power. It has the best chip Apple makes. This phone is for a very specific person, someone who values that sleek, lightweight design more than anything else, but still demands the absolute best performance for all their apps and games. Of course, you know an Apple event is never just about the iPhone. The whole ecosystem is getting faster and smarter with a really big focus on health and connectivity this year. And honestly, while the iPhone gets the headlines, some of the updates to the Watch and AirPods are genuinely game-changing. So, for the Apple Watch, the new Series 11 is getting a big redesign. It's thinner, it has a true 24-hour battery, and it finally gets its own 5G. The Ultra 3 is pushing its battery life to an insane 42 hours and getting satellite connectivity. But the biggest story for both watches is a brand new health feature. They can now actually monitor for signs of hypertension, which is high blood pressure. That's a huge deal. And you cannot sleep on the new AirPods Pro 3 because this is a massive leap forward. First off, the noise cancellation is twice as good. Battery life is up to 8 hours from 6, but here's the crazy part. The absolute showstopper. They can now monitor your heart rate from inside your ear. Yeah, your headphones are now a legitimate fitness tracking device. It's wild. So there you have it. That's the new lineup. You've got the standard iPhone 17, which feels more pro than it ever has. You've got the completely redesigned Pro models, which are built from the ground up for serious performance. And then you have the stunningly thin new iPhone Air, which somehow packs that same flagship power. It really leaves you with a tough question, right? With three amazing options, which one is the true star of the show this year?